What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today we are talking our top five, my guys, in the 2025 NFL Draft on offense. If you missed the show last week, go check it out. Here is our top five rankings. We did 2 for day 1, 2 for day 2, and 1 for day 3. Ryan went Walter Nolan, Jalen Walker. I went Princely Umanmielen and Landon Jackson. Day 2, we went Xavier Watts, Takario Davis, Kyle Kennard, and Jeffrey Bassa. And day 3, Smile Munden Jr. and Jeremiah Cooper. Doing the same thing here on offense. Joining me, of course, Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. What's up, Ryan?
Not much. Ready to talk a little offense. And, it's funny. I think our brains, being Eagles fans, are kind of shifted over to the defensive side. So I definitely had a little bit of an extra thought process to try and, figure out which guys I wanted to go with for the offense.
Yeah. Let's jump right into this thing. I'll lead us off. Number 1, obviously, if you're a fan of this show, we've talked about this guy countless times. Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. Very good frame. He can play fullback. He's taking some snaps at center. He can play all over the offensive field. Long arms, huge catch radius, especially as a blocker. He's not just a good blocker. This is a guy that wants to destroy you. He plays with a nasty streak in the run game, which obviously makes him a perfect fit for the Philadelphia Eagles. He holds up really well against power, against most defensive ends. He's got a lot of play strength. You're not going to out-physical Tyler Warren on the outside. He's got the size and the physical build to kind of hang around the trenches and dominate corners on the outside. Just an athletic specimen. He's not an elite burner or any of that. He's a little bit of a different, kind of a throwback tight end kind of prospect, but he's still got plenty of agility. He's still got plenty of speed to separate from defenders, and just had immense production in 2024. When it comes to weaknesses, he's a little stiff. That limits his route tree somewhat. There is some experience consistency concerns. I think when it comes to consistency, I don't understand at times why Penn State doesn't run more through him. And there are some concerns regarding his hands. He does have 8 drops and on 73 targets during his first 3 seasons with the Lions. He can be a little too aggressive and get out of position at times. But in terms of player comp, I see a lot to like, especially shades of Dallas Goedert, man. Just a dual threat tight end who can attack up the seam, give you full effort in the blocking game. I love Tyler Warren. I think he's got tight end 1 upside. Obviously, if you're picking this guy day 1, you want him to be a tight end 1. I would love him at the back end of round 1, man. Tyler Warren.
Yeah, listen, I think we have said multiple times on this program and many others, the tight end is an important position that the Eagles need to focus on. I've been pretty critical of Dallas Goedert this year, and again, not only his availability, but his production. And you could certainly say that there's too many mouths to feed on the Eagles, and maybe that's why the production dips. But still, I think it's such a huge position that needs to get upgraded, regardless of if Dallas is here. You need tight end 2 upgraded, and you definitely need to find your future tight end 1.
There's also an added bonus of him as a fullback. I mean, we've seen how impactful Ben Van Sumeren can be in that role, and I just get giddy just thinking about having a 6'5", 6'6" guy built like him, blowing up, opening lanes for Saquon Barkley in the second half, which should be an entire game offense, not just the second half offense. But Ryan, who's your day 1 target?
All right, so I am going to go with Trey Harris, who is a wide receiver from Ole Miss. This dude I fell in love with last year, and he has done nothing but continue to produce for Ole Miss. He is the reason why that offense is so electric. His catch radius is one of the best in the nation. He absolutely has the length to get up and snag balls above the defender. He seems to never lose in jump ball situations, honestly. So he certainly has that going. He doesn't have many drops. He seems very capable of being on the outside versus the slot. Does not matter. So he has that flexibility, which is great. And I think what he also does is he shines in the red zone. He's got his, uses his size, and they just constantly just throw the ball up. And all he does is come down with the ball and score touchdowns. But he's really good at tracking deep balls as well. And again, just has really good hands. But I will say maybe some things to knock on him, and he doesn't have elite separation. So if he gets matched up with with a really good corner, or at least a speedy one, he does sometimes struggle to get separation. He certainly does need probably a little bit more refinement in his route tree, but he tends to kind of break off routes a little bit early, and seems to, I don't know, telegraph a bit. But other than that, this guy is a nightmare that could upgrade our wide receiver 3. And I know, again, it's first round. You don't think the Eagles would go that route, but I would be ready to run up to grab him at the back end of round 1 if he's there, because this dude is absolutely electric, and no one would be stopping our passing attack, honestly. So I love this dude, and I've again been a fan of this guy for the last 2 years. You're muted.
My bad. He's one of those guys that I think has upside to be a wide receiver 1. He can play in the slot. He can play on the outside. But a guy that can kind of grow under AJ Brown. Oh my God. That's how I would see him. There seems to be some variability with his profile. I've seen him in the first round. I've seen him day 3 on PFF, and I don't get it.
I don't. Yeah, it definitely seems to be. And again, this does happen this time of year when people are still trying to figure this all out. But at the end of the day, I don't see him lasting past pick number 40.
Yeah, I think he's a top 50 guy. And I'm probably higher than him than most. Like, he's going to be in my wide receiver rankings rated pretty high.
Yeah.
He's absolutely on that same tier as like Abuka, Evan Stewart. The next guy I'm going to be talking about, he's right there. So I don't understand the nonsense of.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
here we are.
Yeah. I think. I think in our first mock draft, didn't I grab him in the third round or something like that?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So it definitely helped me win convincingly. By the way.
All right, let's go to my second day 2 target for the Birds, and it is Isaiah Bond out of Texas. Elite athlete, one of the better athletes in this draft. Unbelievable short area agility, explosiveness, his change of direction and ability to create space is top notch. Very good route runner, a guy that can be inside and out. I expect him to dominate more in the slot at the next level. Knows how to hand fight for those vertical releases, not afraid to put his body on the line in the middle of the football field, knows how to make tough catches. He's a smaller guy. He's only 5'11", 180, but he plays bigger. And that stop and start body control, that open field speed to just be a yak machine. That's what Isaiah Bond is all about. Weaknesses wise, he's still a little raw. He doesn't have a huge catch radius, so he's not going to be like a safety valve for quarterback at the next level who is, somewhat known to make errant throws. And obviously he's not a blocker. That is definitely an area he needs to improve. So yeah, physically, I see this guy as a 3-level threat at the next level. Explosiveness, speed, route running, alignment versatility. He's just a guy that can take the top off of defense. He can create separation on a whim. Isaiah Bond, if you don't know him, get to know him. He's going to be putting up some monster games in the college football playoff. So yeah, that's Isaiah Bond. And obviously, like, he's probably on the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to first round targets for the Eagles, because I still am very much edge,
Correct.
Or defensive line before Isaiah Bond or a guy like this, but I still think he's an elite talent.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I think that, needs to certainly be said is, the Eagles should be focusing on the defensive side of the ball in the early rounds here. But yeah, listen, you never know how the draft is going to go. I mean, heck, I don't think any of us, thought that the first defensive pick wouldn't be until pick 15 last year. So crazier things do happen. And again, if there's a run and, there's not a lot left, and how he still has that pick, either one of those wide receivers or Tyler Warren for that matter, or the guy I'm going to talk about, would absolutely love it. So,
all right, who's your last day one pick?
I'm going to go to the tight end world and go with Colston Loveland out of Michigan. This dude has just excellent size, excellent strength, and he has this athleticism. He just really makes a kind of a nightmare scenario for defenders. He's quick. He's aggressive, but he has really great body control. Honestly, making great routes, sharp cuts. Can stop on a dime when need be. Has great hands, super reliable, doesn't drop balls. Great at contested catches. He's also really effective in the run game. Solid blocking. Able to kind of seal off the edge, and also in the next level, down the field. So this is a guy that can line up as a wide receiver. This guy can line up on the line. It does not matter. This guy will line up against whoever you want him to, and he will most likely beat them. But he's also an intelligent player. He's a leader on that team. He's definitely somebody that I think would be an instant upgrade, immediately without even seeing him on the field, come in and fight Dallas Goedert for significant playing time, in my opinion. But I will say, while again, I just gushed about his blocking skills, they certainly do need some work. As a tight end. He certainly is more of a pass catcher, but and he needs to kind of focus on maintaining the blocks. Other than that, I mean, struggles at times to create separation. When put against like a corner and a good one at that. Linebackers is no problem, but. Yeah, other than that, I think this guy is one of the best tight ends in this class. Might be the first tight end off the board, for that matter. But it'll be interesting to see how the tight end group kind of shakes up, because there's a couple of really nice guys up top, the two of which we just talked about. But Colston Loveland is would be a huge get for the Eagles at the back end of round number one. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think his impact will obviously depend on the situation he gets drafted into. Sure. He'll need definitely a creative offensive coordinator to get him and scheme him some touches, and that's where his strengths are in the short intermediate area of the field. Using that size and frame as a mismatch weapon, especially in the red zone. All right, so we got Colston Loveland. I'm sure he is so psyched to go to the NFL after the mess at quarterback Michigan had to deal with.
Yeah, it was a rough year for the Wolverines, that's for sure. Coming off of their championship, I'm sure it's got to be certainly a disappointing way to finish your college career.
Yep. All right, let's head to day 2. Again, this is November. A lot is going to fluctuate as we go through the draft process and the Senior Bowl and the Combine and everything like that. But I'll lay this off. My top day 2 target on offense for the Birds is a guy out of Miami, Xavier Restrepo. Really fun guy. I've been pumping him up all season long. Just a solid all-around athlete. Nice blend of strength and quickness and body control. He's got a lot of play strength. He's a guy that is a precise route runner. He creates separation easily, just like Isaiah Bond. Extremely reliable hands. He has been that safety valve for Cam Ward all season long. Doesn't have elite top end speed. He's not going to be a guy that takes the top off of defense, and he's kind of a limited yak player even from the slot. I'm curious how he does against press coverage at the next level. But similar to Isaiah Bond, his start-stop ability and that secondary quickness, I'm really excited about, especially from the slot area. He's an extremely tough player, and he would make a welcome addition to really any NFL offense with all those traits. I think he's not an elite run blocker, but the effort is all there. He's been mostly aligned in the slot while at Miami. And this is definitely an area that I'm going to study the most on going forward. But the effort, the attitude, he's a tough physical player. It's all there to be a quality blocker at the next level. Xavier Restrepo is awesome. He would fit beautifully in the slot for the Eagles going forward. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, no, this guy's it certainly stands out. And it's such a need for the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, you went out and you wasted let's be honest, you wasted a 3rd round pick and gave that to Washington because Jahan Dotson hasn't really panned out, but you definitely need something, again, because Brown and Smith might miss some games, and you need a reliable second wide receiver or number 1 wide receiver, depending if they're both out. But I think Restrepo can easily come in and be a main target if called upon for a game. But he would be such a nice complementary piece to those two. I don't think I don't think defenses would know what to do.
Yep. Who is your top day 2 target?
All right, moving on. I am going to stay in the tight end room. We're going to go with Harold Fanning Jr. Out of Bowling Green. This guy is, setting records left and right for Bowling Green, including career receiving yards and touchdowns for tight end. This guy's 6'4", 230, was all MAC last year. And has really performed really well this year, especially against some bigger opponents. Penn State, I think he went 11 for 37 and a touchdown. Texas A&M, 8, 145 and a touchdown. So, I mean, he has just been dominant, leading the nation in receiving or in receptions and receiving yards for tight ends. This guy has such a burst off the line. It's like firing a cannon, and just can either just run right by the linebackers, or honestly, he can bully right through them too. He constantly wins, gets separation. Anything that's even remotely close, he seems to catch. Making some really nice catches this year, one-handed ones in traffic too. This guy is a yak machine. Has that kind of ability. Um, Again, I'm not trying to compare to any actual player, but he has that like kind of Gronk ability to like just like get hit, but like keep going for another 5 or 10 somehow. That Gronk certainly made famous, but he seems to have a little bit of that in him, which is really nice. But he can line up anywhere on the field, which is really great. He seems to block when called upon. It's certainly not a strong point, but is average. It's certainly something that he definitely needs to work on in the next level for sure. And yeah, I mean, again, I think kind of perfecting his route tree certainly is going to be beneficial. As he doesn't really have that much. In his bag, but what he does extremely well, better than probably anybody. And yeah, sometimes, I think, obviously he's going to get the whole small school aspect coming into the NFL. And, will he be able to, do that consistently in the NFL versus, NFL defenders? And, again, he's had limited interaction with big Power 5 schools, but he's done really well in those games. So listen, there's something special about this kid, and I think he would be a great get on day 2. If we go defense and the first round, first 2 rounds, and if he slips to round 3 maybe due to his small school status. So he's definitely a guy to keep your eye on. And I would love to have him backing up Dallas Goedert, learning a little bit, and then taking over eventually.
Yeah, this is a guy I see blowing up during the draft process. Elite athlete. His numbers this season are ridiculous. He's got
like cartoonish, it doesn't seem real.
31 missed tackles. He's got 64 first downs. He's only got 3 drops, despite how many targets? A ton of targets.
Yeah,
128. And he has 750 yards after the catch. Just ridiculous.
That doesn't make sense. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah.
He constantly produces 100-yard games for Bowling Green. And it's just honestly, it's not fair. And like I said, he does really well against the bigger schools that he's had to face so far. So
I think this is one of the more intriguing guys that could easily rise throughout the draft process. So keep an eye out for Harold Fannin Jr. Let's go to my next guy. And I love this guy. And this is more of a buy why the stock is low kind of thing. I eventually think his stock will rise again, but Oklahoma State has had a horrific season compared to expectations during or before the season started. Give me Ollie Gordon, running back out of Oklahoma State. And you look at Saquon Barkley, he's obviously the star right now, but finding more depth behind him would be really solid. Gordon was electric in 2023. He had 68 missed tackles from 285 carries. Really struggled this year. To his credit, with Oklahoma State losing so much, he fought through and he continued. He didn't bail. But when it comes to this guy's strengths, he's got great size. He's got very good top end speed for a bigger back. Definitely NFL level, and that size and that ability to put second level defenders in a bind. That's really what you're looking at. He's got very quick feet for his size, really good contact balance. He can brush off arm tackles and lower the shoulder if he needs to. Just a really good complementary back for the Birds if they were to get him and have Will Shipley kind of be that Kenny Gainwell in 2025. When it comes to weaknesses, he needs to improve his technique when it comes to blocking. That being said, I do think he's one of the better pass blockers at the running back position. I think he's more of a build-up speed runner than an explosive one like a Bucky Irving. He's not a great separator in the open field when it comes to his speed. And he's a bit stiff when it comes to change of direction. And I definitely think his vision can be spotty at times. But this is a guy that I think would be more of a luxury pick for the Eagles. But similar to my, I guess maybe like a Trey Harris, you're looking for the future. Saquon's only here for 2-3 years. We'll see what that contract looks like, in a couple of years from now. But Ollie Gordon could be a guy that steps right in and kind of, helps the miles on the tires, kind of is what I'm saying for Saquon next year from the jump. So Ollie Gordon is a really fun prospect, great size, would be that Saquon guy to give him some breaks here and there. And I think Eagles fans would love him. And before this season started, he was a top 10, top 20 prospect. And right now he's kind of fallen off a cliff like Oklahoma State season.
Yeah, listen, he's certainly had a bad, even start in the offseason. He got a little, a little bit in trouble. And then you combine that with Oklahoma State season, just honestly, just falling off a bridge. But this is a guy that honestly, it would be, it almost feel like cheating to add him, especially getting him kind of, late. And taking advantage of the fall, should he remain there. But Ollie Gordon is easily one of the best running backs in this class. Easily top 3 for sure. And just skill wise, he's right there. So to get him with Saquon Barkley again, also means we can get rid of Kenny Gainwell.
Yep.
Woo.
Yeah. Who's your second day 2 target?
All right. I am going to go down to Georgia, which, by the way, did you watch that game at all?
Yeah. Well, I couldn't stay up, but I watched it when I woke up and just ridiculous.
God. Just absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, I'm going to go on their offensive line, and I'm going to go with interior lineman Tate Ratledge. Look at this dude. If this guy doesn't scream like big old boy offensive lineman, I don't know what does. He's 6'6", 320 pounds, just absolute machine. He's powerful run blocker, and just absolutely able to open up holes, move defenders where he wants. And really kind of make that point of attack, huge for those running backs. He's really got good technical skills with his hands, and his upper body strength to kind of again control the defenders where he wants them to go. He's actually pretty athletic, fluid, mobility, able to get into that second level and decleat somebody when needed. He's smart. He absolutely knows. He seems to be one of those guys that knows everyone's place and knows where everyone is and knows exactly where he fits in that scheme. And it's just really honestly, I spent some time watching that game last night, and I was definitely looking at Ratledge. And he just jumps absolutely off the screen. But he's also aggressive when he needs to be. So he kind of has that. He kind of has that mentality, and again, to get somebody on day 2, again, you don't know what's going to happen with Mekhi Becton, who has been great. Don't get me wrong, Mekhi Becton has been absolutely fantastic, but you have to see if there's going to be a need. And Ratledge could easily come in if Becton is no longer and wouldn't skip a beat. In fact, you would just add to the amazing offensive line. I will say, sometimes he can get a little too aggressive, overextends. Um, Sometimes, sometimes he, struggles against, the super quick interior defensive line. So I'm sure battling Jalen Carter every day in practice would only assist this dude. But yeah, he kind of just overcommits a little bit, and then he kind of gets himself off balance. So, but yeah, I love what I see from this guy, and as a day two guy that you can add to your starting offensive lineman, I think that's a huge win. We got a couple of picks in on the in the third round there. So if he happens to fall to round three, I think he personally could go round two. But yeah, I would love the Eagles to get themselves some Tate Ratledge. What a name! I love it.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's one of the premier run blocking guards in this draft.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So he's a beast. Tate Ratledge for Team Ryan. IOL, Georgia. And then we reach day three. Do you want to go first, or want me to go?
No, I don't mind. I'm just gonna stay where I'm at. I'm gonna stay in Georgia, and I'm gonna go with yet another tight end. Shocker here, Oscar Delp. This dude caught a touchdown pass last night in regulation. He's 6'5", 240, 250, depending on who you follow. But this is a dude that again stood behind Brock Bowers and kind of waited for his moment. But yeah, he's taken full advantage of it. And they got another guy in the tight end room there that's also really good, and he's shining. He's super athletic. He's a guy that seems to when it comes to athleticism in the tight end world, he seems to be up at the top there. Super versatile. He can go out wide. He can go from the slot. He can put his hand in the dirt on the line. It does not matter. Again, very much like Harold Fanning, catches everything that kind of comes to him, and really is a red zone nightmare. Obviously that's how he scored his touchdown there on the little corner route. He seems to just, his route running just is so smooth. It just, it's effortless. And just, again, he shines in the middle of the field in those intermediate routes. For the most part, that's his bread and butter, and he will, he'll get you 10 catches for 70 yards. It does not matter. He'll do that dirty work, but when asked to kind of take longer routes, he's exceptionally athletic and quick enough to do so. He kind of creates quite a nightmare, a mismatch, especially with linebackers, smaller ones. He's just gonna, tower over you. The quicker you're, the bigger ones, he's still going to be able to bully and run around. So, but he's an excellent worker. Seems to have an amazing IQ for his role, especially in that Georgia offense. But his blocking isn't certainly average at best. Certainly needs some work. With more of better technique. Again, since he was stuck behind, Brock Bowers, who's dominating in the NFL right now, he seems to have limited, games on tape, if you will. So certainly, needs to, prove people wrong that his limited action is only the start. So I think Oscar Delp will probably fall to, that fourth, fifth round action. And again, if the Eagles, hell, I even if the Eagles have gone tight end early, I'd still take this guy in a heartbeat later on in the draft, to upgrade tight end 2, tight end 3. But Yeah, this is a fun guy who's on a inconsistent Georgia offense, but has Ben Urasic in there, who's also going to be a good draft pick, but seems to be the better of the two, and again was kind of hidden behind Brock Bowers for his time at Georgia. So
Yeah, I'm looking back at our tight end rankings. We did a preseason top 10 tight ends, and both of us had him ranked number 3.
Oh wow,
and
nice.
He's kind of like, if you had to pick a guy that's kind of fallen a little bit, he's definitely
a little bit. But I think it's more. I think it's more so because he's done pretty much what we thought he was going to do, where others have exceeded expectations, like the Tyler Warrens, like Harold Fanning, who came out of nowhere for me. Yeah, definitely.
Yep. All right, to round it out, I'm going to the Big Ten, and we're talking Ty Felton, a wide receiver out of Maryland. When I thought Oscar Delp would be the breakout tight end of the group, Ty Felton is that guy for the wide receivers. He's kind of caught everyone off guard this year. From week 2 to now, he's been at the top of the nation in receiving yards and has never looked back. You look back at his week 3 performance, became the first Maryland wide receiver in school history to have 3 straight 100-yard outings, where he had 9 catches for 117 yards and a touchdown against Virginia. He's explosive, man. He's a big-time playmaker. He's a strider. He can hit his top speed quickly. He can take the top off of defense. I expect him to have a very solid 40 time, and he's a prospect that I think will continue to just elevate his draft stock. The NFL is always willing to buy into speed. 6'2", very, very good speed. So, his tools, his stats this year, I have him trending him towards the top of day 3. I got a spelling error on this graphic. But anyway, Ty Felton, if you haven't heard of him, now you have. He's a very fun one. Have you ever gotten a chance to check him out?
I haven't seen film on him yet, but I am certainly aware of the name and his impact at Maryland. I've certainly seen game stats and whatnot, but haven't had the chance yet to dive into any of his highlights or film and all stuff. But I certainly will now.
Yeah, definitely a guy that can be inside out, play in the slot, play in the outside, groom into a top wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 after a few years. So there you go, Ty Felton. And we did it, Ryan. There's our top 5 my guys for day 1, day 2, and day 3 on offense and defense. Final thoughts. I think we are getting ready for the college football playoff here. We have some fun ideas, like fantasy type of ideas to run with this thing, like games and picks and prop bets. We'll throw in some like drafts where like I pick a few players and Ryan picks a few players and we compete with each other and I lose as always. But there we are. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, I think we concocted quite the list of guys that you may be familiar with some of them, especially the early guys. But it's again, I think the beauty of this is not only keeping ourselves honest and but also learning, and hopefully that people watching this will learn a little something, or at least be aware of maybe players and do their own research and get into guys, because that's really what it's about. It's about just getting the time to look into these players. And I don't know. I love going on a deep dive on a player and then learning that he's one of my favorites, and I just fall in love, and then ultimately I get crushed at the draft when he goes to not the Eagles. But still, it's bittersweet, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yep. All right, guys. So we are wrapping this thing up. Expect some college football playoff shows in the near future. Also, go check out Eagles Pin Pool, the Armchair Scouts. We do more content on top Eagles draft targets. Go check out Eagles Pin Pool. Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. Anything else you want to plug?
I don't know where I am. My new setup is messing me up here. Yeah, no, just follow the Eagles Pin Pool. I brought one of my old shows over to the Eagles Pin Pool, so now there are officially 9 shows on the Eagles Pin Pool network. So yeah, check it out. Download, 5-star reviews, all that good stuff.
Shorts. I've been putting out a ton of shorts on Eagles versus Ravens, top matchups to watch, stats, all that kind of stuff. And then tomorrow, halftime and post game, we will be live at Eagles Pin Pool talking everything Eagles versus Ravens. So thank you everyone for watching. He is Ryan Reese. I am Dibes. We'll be back live again Monday night at 9:00, just breaking down everything Eagles versus Ravens. And so forth. So thank you everyone for watching. Stay awesome.